Hello everybody and welcome to the God is a Geek podcast. My name's Adam Cook and I am your host for this podcast, and you can tell if you're watching the video version as I start this every time who's on the pod, but if you're not a video listener, first of all, why not? And also, how do you listen to a video? But you can see him, he's right there. It's Christopher White. How are you, mate? Alright?
I'm bloody marvellous, mate.
Good.
And I'm not even taking the piss. I'm feeling pretty good. I'm looking at this running order and there's some fantastic stuff on
it's
here.
ridiculous.
And, you've been a busy boy.
We both have, mate, to be fair. Like this,
we are
going to get sort of straight into games this week, which is a rarity because there's a lot of them. And there's more still to come, by the way. There's more still to come. We'll talk about that later. But we should just jump into the games because Chris said I've been a busy boy because I've reviewed both the next-gen consoles. Not the Xbox Series S. We didn't get that. I did ask. I didn't send that. It's cool. We got an Xbox Series X. PlayStation 5. Had them both. I had the Series X a little bit longer, but not an awful lot. My eyes are basically, they're glasses anyway, but they're screens because all I have seen is screens for the past, fortnight and a bit. So I guess where do we start, man, really? Like, the Xbox Series X embargo came first, the PS5 one's gone now too.
Let's go there, because out of the two, that's the one I know least about.
Well, you say that. I'm not so sure that's true, because I was going to start with the PlayStation 5 because I don't want to sound like a negative Nancy here, but there's these two consoles right now. I know which one I find the most exciting, and I think that really comes down to you as a person, what you want from video games. And to me, when all is said and done, when the excitement of the new shiny, the new thing is done and dusted, what you're left with is a box which, in theory, and we'll get to that, goes under your telly, or somewhere near your telly in this case, and it's the games that you play on it. And that is ultimately, in 8 years' time, if a generation lives that long, what you remember about that generation is... So, for example, you don't think of the PS4 as a... Well, you might mention its fan noises, but you would also mention God of War, Bloodborne, Uncharted, Last of Us. It's the games... It's a long-winded way of saying it's the games that matter.
Yeah. And
because of that, the Xbox Series X is a hard sell for the money because it's an Xbox, if that makes sense. Like, I was not surprised because I'd seen preview coverage, but there was part of me that thought when this thing's in my hands, there will be like a new UI that they've been keeping super secret. There isn't. Like, no. Chris, you're playing on an Xbox. You just reviewed Yakuza. No, that was PC. You reviewed the Falconeer. Yeah, the Falconeer on an Xbox One. Base Xbox One, I think. Just a generic black.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The guide and everything on that, as you see it, bar a few subtle changes, is the same one I've been playing on the Series X for the past 2.5 weeks.
Yeah.
And I said this in the review, but in case you're just a podcast listener or watcher, or you don't, I didn't do a video review of the Xbox One Series X, and I'll get to why actually on this podcast. It's not very exciting, man, and I don't mean to be like, oh, it's just not. And what it does, what it can do, that's exciting. The future with all them studios, that's exciting. Right now, when you want to put 450 quid down, if you're happy that you're going to get a box which is, and look, it is ridiculously powerful. Seriously, it is. This is a powerful machine. Like, there's no two ways about it. It's the closest you're going to get to, what's a good gaming PC these days? Upwards of $1,000, I would say. You're not going to get the power of the Xbox Series X for £450 or anywhere else. Like, it is.
Yeah.
It's a monstrously powerful thing. Unfortunately, during the review process, like, a lot of the stuff that I wanted to see worked, but not entirely. Like, by the time this goes up, hopefully it's fixed, because literally the day after this goes live, the thing's out, so it should be. But for me, I felt like one of the biggest things they were pointing out before launch, one of the big games, they got it as exclusive on next gen, Yakuza Like a Dragon. Brilliant game. And you've reviewed it. Oh, yeah. Phenomenal game, and we can talk about that. And but quick resume, right now, I even tested it today, doesn't work. And Xbox said that they identified some bugs, and that's why they stopped it. And I'd rather it didn't work than there was bugs and it was messing things up. And Watch Dogs Legions, Legion, sorry, doesn't work. Well, it does actually, as of today, it does work again. So it worked, and then they stopped it working because it wasn't representative of the smart delivery new gen Watch Dogs. But like when I played it via backwards compatibility, was fine. It was Watch Dogs Legion. So like, one of the reasons we didn't have a video is I captured Dirt 5. I captured loads of Dirt 5. I captured some Yakuza. I captured some Watch Dogs Legions, I think. And then I can't show any of them, and it's like, oh shit! I suddenly and some of this was very late in the day, and it's like I have no time to capture all this footage of all these other games. Like Dirt 5 is a one I feel like they have definitely led the charge with that game, and again another game you reviewed on Xbox One. I captured performance mode, I captured fidelity mode. Performance mode is 100% for me with that frame rate, and it's it runs really well.
Yeah,
but I couldn't use it, so there's no video review of it because I wasn't allowed to use that for embargo. Maybe we'll come back if there's time to do a video review, but I would suggest go and read the review. Smart delivery is amazing when it works. Quick resume is amazing when it works. Like, it is cool that you can just literally go guide button. Although I learnt, by the way, and I've got an Xbox controller here. What would you call that button there, Chris? The middle button there, the big one.
I literally just call it the big X button. The X button.
Apparently, it's the Nexus button.
Oh, is it?
Apparently. That's what the PR used when describing it. So I've never heard that before. That's something you learn. No, every day's a school day.
Or has that been that forever?
Well, I mean, it's the same button.
I
have got the Series X controller here as well, and it's the same thing. You know, apparently that's the Nexus button.
Fair enough.
So there you go. You learn something every single day. Makes sense. It's the nexus of everything, I guess. So, the Series X, like I tested, you can watch this on our channel, the Doom Eternal, like it loads. It took 5 seconds to load. On the Xbox One, it took 25 seconds. And that's the overall thing. And that is exciting. That is cool. And none of that's optimized. It just does it. Like, the Xbox just does that. It just does that stuff. And that's awesome. And that's Xbox.
It just... Because you're not... I don't think there's any negativity here. It's facts.
No, it's positive on the box.
There's nothing. Yeah, exactly. But there's nothing to kind of show it off, really.
No, I mean, Yakuza, for example. Let's stop at Yakuza a sec there because it's important. Like Yakuza, Like a Dragon, looks great on Series X and it loads mega quick. However, you reviewed it on PC.
Yeah.
I don't know. I only played the preview build on PC. But same.
I find the load times are exceptional. On the for instance, when you've got a load screen on a PS4 or Xbox One, and you've got like hints that pop up and say, they literally pop up and then disappear. But they like pop up for a second and then gone.
Yep.
So it's like they don't exist. So the load times were excellent, and
it's a great game.
It looks amazing, performed excellently. It's phenomenal.
We'll probably get into the games more probably as weeks go on. I mean, the systems still aren't out when we're recording this. They won't be when this goes live. Yes, Yakuza Like a Dragon is amazing. I wholeheartedly agree with your... Was it 9.5 out of 10?
Yeah.
Wholeheartedly agree with that review score. Wholeheartedly. Fantastic. Probably my favourite one in the series. Maybe that or Zero would be... I mean, they're very different games. They got Yakuza in the name, but they are... There's a lot similar, but they were also... dramatically different, aren't they? One's an RPG, one's a sort of Streets of Rage RPG.
I love Zero, but I still prefer Yakuza 6.
Okay.
These last two games for me have been like the thing that grabs me about Yakuza is the story, and it's as stupid and just bizarre that it can be. They always write so well. Like the story writing is phenomenal, and it was in Song of Life, and it is in this. And the fact that they've managed to bring this completely new protagonist in and make you connect with him already after one game is brilliant. And it's superb.
Like once you get to the job system, which is the bit I previewed. Like I don't know about you because I actually didn't get that far in the retail. It's going to be kind of my game when I've got some downtime in theory now. I'm going to use it for that. But like I just wanted to go through all the jobs and level them all up and see all the moves and have this like massively overpowered character and like
it's such a nice touch to it because I mentioned this in the review. The only reason I don't give it a 10 is solely because there's so much dialogue and there's so many cutscenes that
I was going to ask you this, Chris. The intro, or well, you call it an intro, the sort of opening, that's the longest one they've done, it feels like.
I'm sure it is. I'm sure it is.
I feel like there's so much exposition because they do probably think there's new people coming to the series, right?
Yeah, and I think with it starting again, in theory, like they need to feel like they might need to do that exactly because it is you don't need to know any of the previous story because it isn't about the only thing it features really is the Yakuza and the other factions, like the other criminal organizations, and even then you don't need to know lots about them from previous games and stuff. But there's loads of it. Yeah, there's loads of that, loads of exposition in the first. I mean, I don't think I got my first party member till about 4.5 hours. The first guy was a homeless guy called Namba.
Yes,
who's amazing, and that was also the first time I saw like a proper like weird move, like because in the preview you saw a lot of weird shit.
There's ridiculous shit going on.
Yeah, and there was nothing for ages, and it wasn't
just
like
fighting, isn't it?
The combat system's brilliant, but there wasn't anything, and it was only until I got him when he started to breathe his dirty hobo breath on people and light it up on fire. That was the kind of start, and then from then you learn about the job systems and how you can, as you say, you can level them up, and you can end up being a whole range of different kind of jobs, like and it's just nuts. But like just the game is fucking super.
But like on the other hand, what I would say is like when I was playing the preview build. So you know how and you and I both play a lot of this kind of game. I don't mean Yakuza. I mean like we both like RPGs and JRPGs at that.
Yeah.
Roots in Final Fantasy and sort of Dragon Quest and stuff, I suppose. I was thinking about the when I was playing the preview, like when they attack you, I was because do you know a game I think did this brilliantly. It's kind of turning JRPGs into also actiony games. So when you're attacked, you hit a button in time to get like a. And Yakuza does this. You have to press B. You can reduce damage essentially. Like No, I mean like when they go to hit you, you press B in time and it sort of defends it.
Yes.
Now in the preview, because that's taught you like hours ago, I guess. So I was wondering, is that in here? But I didn't even know what button to press because I'm just starting in chapter 5. So it's good. They definitely treat you like you've never played a game before. There's no two ways about it. But like I don't know if I'd have it any other way. Like I don't know if I'd want. Although saying that, like because I've played so many Yakuza, starting at just chapter 5, it didn't feel like what the hell's going on here. It's like yes, a Yakuza game, but I'm kind of looking forward to seeing the bits I've missed as well.
The thing is that like they do that a lot, but there's a certain charm to these games. Like the bit, like there's a bit where you're talking about parties with your clan's like patriarch, and he's talking about why he likes all the different members of his gang, and like he says, I like this one because he gets the job done. I like this one because they can fight. And he says it's like that game you love to play, Dragon Quest.
Yes,
all a party.
Yeah,
and then every time you get a new party member, this 8-bit music comes on.
Yeah,
and it's just
I never
touches like that.
Yeah, I never put too much. Do you know what? I actually forgot that because that whole section sort of after that. No, was that before? Like when you're sort of, I guess, learning about the young master, and we're not going to spoil anything.
No,
but if you've never played a Yakuza game before, I think that it delivers kind of the broader Yakuza-ness in like actually, although it's like hours long, like quite a succinct kind of. This is, I'm not going to say the words they use because, in fact, this has one of the best openings I've ever played in a game because of the language. Like you see, we talked about this with Watch Dogs recently. Like you see swearing in games now. That's not a new thing, but the creative swearing in Yakuza right from the very start is like, oh, I'm in.
It's as if they like listen to like 15-year-old me on a 12-year-old me on a playground or something. It's like the stuff they say.
But do you think that was the translation? Because of course these games are translated.
It must be. It must be because it's too but it's too precise to be like. It's definitely from.
I don't think a Western game designer would actually write that language. It's a bit. You don't. I might hear that at work. You don't hear that in games. Like you don't.
No. No.
But like that,
No,
that bit there, which I'm not. I just play it. Please play the game. Just play the opening of the game.
Yeah.
But play that.
Yeah.
But then to jump to the young master stuff where he finds out, he overhears the conversation in the toilets.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, this is awful because people listening might not know. In fact, the game's not out, or is it out? I don't know. I've lost track of everything at this point.
Yeah.
But that scene in the toilets, but just me and Chris, like the pathos and sadness in that scene, combined with the mental stuff of that sort of swearing, that's Yakuza. And I just don't think. Well, I mean, another game that maybe gets there is Devil May Cry, but not even to that extreme, because Devil May Cry never thinks it's well. Devil May Cry 5 did, I think.
No, you're right.
But...
You go to a shop. You go to a sex shop, looking at picking up a massive vibrator as a weapon.
Yeah, I forgot about that stuff.
And then you get into a conversation. Oh no, I can't.
No, I know. We will.
There's another amazing scene that is disgusting. And then it cuts straight. It follows that whole scene. Follows into a story about prostitution and how some people do it. People do it for the right reasons. It might be a shitty thing to do, but it's a way to support your family. And they get your emotions all over the place. It's fantastic writing. But it's just entertaining. It's just excellent.
I think you texted me and said you've played the scene with the baby scene I talked about from the preview.
Yes.
I mean, again. I don't know. In all seriousness, right? It's a phenomenal game that I think will chart in our game of the year. I do. I really do. I think
absolutely.
I think more people are into it and now will give it a try. But do you buy an Xbox Series X for it to come back? I don't know.
Yeah, I know. It's on the Xbox One. It's on PC.
It's on PS4.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't buy it for that. Yeah, I know.
So, I mean, another game, and oh my God, I am going to get a proper reputation as Mr. Negative. You reviewed, and I will I don't know, I might give it another go. I really didn't get on with the Falconeer.
Yes.
The controls just never gelled with me. I will say it's beautiful and very impressive that it's on such a small studio, definitely. But it's not that it's not one of those where I'm like, I think it's bad. I just think it's not for me. Sometimes there are games you can appreciate. So, I mean, Ghost Runner, we talked about the other week. Like Mick and I were talking about this, texting back and forth. It's one of those games where I absolutely respect people who like it and totally see what they like. I just don't gel with it. And the Falconeer is one of those for me. And again, I think 8.5 you gave it. You like it a lot. It's on PC, it's on PS4, it's on PS5, it's on Xbox One, and again we're sort of.
It's not like wow, what a launch title, is it? And that's nothing against the dev, because what he's created.
Well, I would also add, Chris,
essentially.
Yes. I would add, it's nice to. I said this in the review. It's really nice to see Xbox kind of pushing an indie game like that. That's really cool to see.
Yeah,
and I really like that.
Absolutely. And I do love it. I think that the missions can be quite repetitive. There's a lot of kind of escort this boat here,
right?
Go and pick this up, or go and shoot these. There is some because it's set of chapters, and each chapter follows
is it open
a specific.
World? Or
it is. It is open world, but it's not like that dense. But there's
no.
Because you're essentially in this place called the Great Ursi, which is like this flooded civilization, so it's mostly like just a big ocean, but there are certain things scattered around. Like there are different ports, different cities, different kind of like places where you can land, providing you've got a permit for it, and you can pick up jobs there. There's you can land on certain shrines which have like relics there, and they tell you a story about something within the world. Like one of the stories that was really interesting was about the Kraken, which exists in this world. And when that comes into the game naturally, like it shit me up. And it's so well done, and like the stories themselves, because it's basically about one big story about all these different communities trying to get on in this new world, trying to survive. There's the rich, there's the poor, there's those that want to kind of start a revolution, and then there's this weird kind of mysterious group in there. And you play each chapter kind of as these different groups, and you learn their own motivations, and it's just very well written, and like it's just a nice little game, and visually, yeah, it'll look amazing on Xbox Series X, but it looks amazing.
It does,
on the Xbox.
and it does 120 frames.
PC.
Yeah,
and I quite got on with the controls, but I'm kind of used to these kind of games. I quite like the aerial dogfights. Like I liked
Ace Combat
stuff like Ace Combat and Star Wars Battlefront that I played.
Squadrons I would still like to play, but that's not. I guess that's not the same kind of thing, is it? It's more.
I don't know. Well, because I've not played it.
No, we haven't played it.
If it's anything like Battlefront, the controls I would say have a similar kind of feeling, because when you're like, say an enemy is flying at you, and you shoot it here, and then it'll fly away, and then you have to kind of turn around. And it's awkward to kind of get, but there is an option to kind of lock onto your target, so you can see it flies behind you, so then you can turn and shoot it. So there are options to kind of quell that awkwardness.
Was this genuinely made by one guy? Because that's
the game itself was made the game was developed by one guy.
I guess soundtrack and stuff,
composers and writers and I think and stuff like that. But yeah, the game was developed by Thomas Sala, who's
just apologies if anyone can hear fireworks going off.
Who's done something amazing. Yeah, but no, it's a lovely game, but it's available elsewhere.
So this really feels like I'm building a case like some sort of lawyer, but Dirt 5.
Yes.
Brilliant. Again, listen, I'm here to say I think this is a great game. Now, I've played Dirt 5 on Xbox Series X, and I've played it on PS5, but via the PS4 backwards compatibility version. The smart delivery version of Dirt 5 is not available on PS5 just yet. Great game. Great game. Really fun arcade racer. And
it's just loud in every way.
Yes.
Like just the music, the soundtrack. Props to Codemasters for getting this together, because it's fantastic. But like the colors they use, the neon colors, the bright colors, the racers themselves are. Like, I'm not a big racing fan. I love Forza. I love Dirt 4 and stuff like that. But I really got on with this. Like there's so many different race types, and classes of cars.
Yeah.
You don't spend time leveling up your cars. You just buy new ones, and it just feels it's just quite natural. And there's not a lot of fat pissing about. You just kind of pick a car, jump in, race, and it's amazing. And again, it looks amazing.
I mean, we should talk Series X stuff here. Like, it's got 128 frames, which is it's smooth.
Oh, I bet.
Listen, I said this in the review, and I'm going to say it again here. 120 frames for me is like the white whale, a little bit for me, in that it is incredibly smooth. And the monitor I'm staring at right in front of me is 120 frames. The telly behind me is not 120 frames, because I was unlucky enough to buy a really expensive LG OLED TV that is 1 year too old, that they aren't having 2.1 HDMI. But this monitor in front of me does, and it does look incredibly smooth. And there's, I'm not here to argue that. I found the sweet spot to be 60, like the performance mode. I dropped down to fidelity, and for my eyes, especially after playing performance mode, it was too big of a drop. I believe that stuff is on last gen though, because on the PS4 version, that's there.
I was a bit surprised, because I know like it exists within the new consoles, but not on the. Because I tested it on both Xbox One and PS4, and those options are both there.
Right.
And which was a surprise.
No, it's a bit weird.
It's another. And do you know what? I am really excited to play on the Xbox Series X, Series S, because one of the games I can't wait to play is NBA, because 2K keep dropping these courtside reports,
a lot of them,
and they make it sound it's like perfect for me, because the one on the PS4 was good, but it was the same. All these things coming out making.
I was going to ask you about this, because it really feels like we're getting like an email almost every other day at this point, where they're updating NBA, not updating, revealing a new thing about. It really feels like the next gen version of NBA is the.
Oh, it's 100% the.
Okay.
It's 100% a brand new game.
But man, that's what I want FIFA to be. Like I'm looking at this, I look at the trailers of NBA that like I want FIFA to be that, because that look like I was playing, and I played FIFA 21 on PS5 again, backwards compatibility. The one thing that's given me a bit of hope about that is that the next gen smart delivery version of FIFA isn't out till December. And if it was just the same game, why would they wait? It's just, fingers crossed. Please. Yeah. I mean, I'm actually enjoying FIFA 21 more now, just as an update. Like, I've started my career as Man United because I just couldn't stand watching the Montelli anymore. I feel like, I had to come in and manage to just sell everyone. But we're not talking about FIFA. Like, the NBA looks unreal. Unfortunately, I've got both next-gen consoles. Don't have access to NBA yet. Hopefully soon. Really want to see that. I've been dying to play an NBA game for so long, and I've never had the chance. And this is kind of like you'll have to, mate. You're working. You got to, Series X. What else can we talk about? Like, Dirt. Like I say. So comparison-wise, it does look better on Series X, but the PS5 version I'm playing is the PS4 version, so I can't compare.
Yeah.
But this does lead in ever so slightly to the DualSense discussion. Even the PS4 version of that game on the PS5 with the DualSense, that controller, man, I have played a lot of hours of PlayStation 5 games, a lot of hours. And that controller, it's up there. It's really up there, and not just because of the feature set, which is, like I say, is all covered in the review.
Yeah.
But the actual weight of it feels perfect, I think. And so does like the series Elite controllers, but in a slightly different way. Let's move into the PS5 then, I guess. Astro's Playroom. I can't say an awful lot more than I already have, and that's not because I'm under embargo. It's because I do not want to spoil anything about this literally this free packed-in game. I'd have paid for it.
Nine is like for a 9 rated game that everyone will get.
But Wii Sports did it.
Mind blowing.
Yeah,
exactly.
Wii Sports was a good one. But the thing about, and I don't know, and listen, when Chris, you and I review a lot of games, and so this, and to the listeners, you can only review what's in front of you and how you feel about the game. There's points in a review where you can be objective and say this is that, but generally speaking, you're telling people how it made you feel, really, isn't it? Because playing a game with a controller in your hand, it's about the emotional response you get from it. Like, does it make you smile? Does it make you happy? Does it make you frustrated? But do you like the frustration, Dark Souls style? Astro's Playroom really took me back, and made me feel really emotional because it has these artifacts you collect, which are all PlayStation things. So in like each level's themed around a PlayStation. So like one of the levels is like PS4 things you get. One is and there are also like there's the PSP. There's stuff there. There was one thing in there I don't think I ever heard of. It was like a peripheral for the PSP that I don't know if it ever came out of Japan in here. Okay, but going through them reminded me of like my mum and dad getting me a PlayStation for Christmas when I knew damn well they couldn't afford it, but they got it for me, and it just kind of threw me back. A bit the way Ratchet and Clank, that the Rift Apart, where they just go through the vortexes into time. It kind of did that to me. It just threw me back through a hole, and all of a sudden I was thinking about my dad coming and trying to get involved, but he's not interested, and then going back further, suddenly I was reminded of him playing Pod with me on C64, and it just made me realise I think everyone's got a PlayStation story. Like, you might be a massive fan of Xbox, but you'll have a PlayStation story, I should think, in the same way that PlayStation fans, if you're honest, if you're not some ridiculous fanboy, you'll have a story about all of these, because if you like games, you like games. And man, it's a tech demo, but it's also a game in its own right. Like, I might go back and 100% this because I enjoy playing it. I want another game like like Super Lucky's Tale. I guess the closest one is Super Lucky's Tale, but Astro's so much better. And you know this because you know how it controlled in the VR one.
Oh yeah,
it's that, and like, it's so good. I really hope they add more to it, like another few levels. I want more of this. I really do. I do want more. Devil May Cry Special Edition is another one. Did we talk about that, or we've done a lot of chatting?
We did the video discussion over it.
I can't really review it as such yet, which I know it sounds weird because, like, this is it's the same game but upgraded. But another game that I don't know if it's the power of the consoles, but I was like, did this really look this good? I don't think it did, but again, it makes use of that trigger, as I said in the video, where it feels like you're revving a chainsaw on the triggers, and like the Astro stuff is mental. Like there's I couldn't talk about it before, but I will mention it now. There is a level where it starts to rain in Astro's Playroom, and he puts up a little umbrella, and as it rains, you can feel the little pitter patter on your fingers because you're holding the controller with the haptics. It's you know, I do think that controller could be one of the big differences. So where do we go now? Do we go? Should we chat PlayStation 5 itself? Should we chat Miles Morales? Because they're the two things left. What do you want to chat?
I'd like to save Miles.
Okay.
I like to go to Miles and Fuser at the end.
Okay. So the PlayStation 5, it is massive. It is. There's no. I can't sugarcoat it. You've all seen pictures by now. Everyone's seen them. You're gonna struggle to fit this in to a TV unit. You know what I mean? You are. It's gonna probably. I don't know if I think it would fit in mine on its sort of the flat, horizontal. It's not. I mean, you could. The good thing is, right, and I think people are thinking a little bit old gen, is that if you had a PS4 or an Xbox out, you know, in the room, like the PS4 is like an aircraft carrier and it will take off, and you don't want that out of an enclosure. Well, you do because it would keep it cooler, but you don't because it makes so much noise you couldn't hear the telly. So both these consoles are silent. I would say the Xbox Series X is more silent, if that makes sense. There are the occasional like clicks and whirs of a PlayStation 5, but I mean, you never really truly know until you've had them for like a year, do you? But I think they're silent, and that's great. The UI of the PlayStation 5 is sleek. It looks very cool. It's very sort of feels expensive, but it does need work. Like everything's one click too many. Like I mentioned this in the review, but you basically, like on the PS4 right now, you hold down the PlayStation button, you would just go, I think it's a few little switches and you'd be into rest mode. In this, you press the PlayStation button, you go down, you go all the way along to the right to press power, you go up then to enter rest mode, and it just feels like a few steps too many. But also the UI is brand new, but also kind of feels like the PS4 one is hidden somewhere in amongst it. It does have some really cool stuff, though. I put the picture in the review. I love this, and I cannot believe Xbox didn't put this back into the system UI. On the PS5 UI, there's a setting that you can tell it to invert your controls for every game. So for me, who's someone who likes to play with the right stick inverted for a camera, you can go and do that on a system level. You can, on a system level, tell it that you want it to always start on normal difficulty. On a system level, you can tell it that you want performance mode or fidelity mode by default. It's got these little system level things which are tiny, almost insignificant, but also not insignificant and really cool. And like Xbox were the first to do that with the 360. I can't believe Sony have beaten them to putting it back in.
Yeah, man.
It like the Series X, the PS5 is fast. Everything's snappy. Like I haven't seen that little sort of spinning thing on the PS5 where you're waiting and thinking, the friends list isn't going to bloody load, I'll just go back out and come back in. And it's loaded. You know, I haven't seen that once. Not once. Like trophies pop up and you just hit the PlayStation button and it will tell you what they are. You press the PlayStation button during a game and it will tell you like what your nearest. Some of the stuff the Series X does or the Xbox did before it, all that stuff. The DualSense is the star of the show, no question. It's fast. Like games that are exclusive to PlayStation, I haven't seen load times on yet. Like, I mean, I'm only talking about Astro's Playroom and Miles here, but I haven't seen them load at all, even when you die. It's just like fade to black, start again.
That's amazing.
It's exciting.
I can't remember, like when the PS4 came out and the Xbox One. I can't remember going, holy shit, this is massive. Like, this is a game changer. I can't remember anything specific that was like the DualSense or the haptic feedback or like the load times being like instantaneous. I can't remember that. And I'm sure there must have been something.
There must have been.
It was visuals. That.
It was visuals. Like Killzone Shadowfall looked incredible. It did. Like some people didn't like it. I liked it, but it looked. You can't deny it looked ridiculously good. No.
But these just feel like humongous kind of improvements.
Yeah.
And like the haptic, sorry.
Yeah.
the fact that you say you can feel raindrops on your controller, like it doesn't seem like much, but when you're spending all that time immersed in a video game, it's amazing. Like the fact that they have done that, like it takes HD Rumble up to another level, like 11, like you say in the review.
But I wondered if, and I didn't put this in the review because I didn't want to seem to come across as like thinking I know stuff that I don't, but I did wonder if you, if in terms of accessibility, obviously some people that would be too much rumble and it would be, they couldn't use it. And you can turn it off, by the way, that is a thing. Like with the microphone on it, you can mute that. So it's the accessibility is good. But I wondered if the opposite would be true. And that people who were perhaps partially sighted would be able to feel the game. Do you know what I mean? Now, I don't know if I'm feeling the rain because I can see the rain. I'm feeling the sand in the grit because I'm walking into it because I can see it. But I did wonder, could this be an accessibility thing that people could use? Like, if the haptics are that good, and they are, in my experience, that good, I wonder if they could be able to help like people who are partially sighted feel the game a little bit. And I don't know. Yeah. It's just a cool idea. I don't know. I didn't put it in the review because I was like, I don't know if this is... I'm not really here to sort of to guess things, but it did seem plausible to me. Yeah. I am... If I call the Series X a little bit safe... That's unfair because it's mega powerful. But the PS5 has the excitement factor for me. It feels new. Like I mentioned it in the review, and the Series X, I feel there must have been a way they could have made a new UI, right? With it still working. Or maybe they could have given the Xbox Series X a new UI, and then when the Series X is released, they could have updated the old systems with a new UI. But I just felt like, it's the same controller, the same UI. The PlayStation 5, and they made a big deal about they like generations. It is different. It feels different. It feels exciting. The load times are mental. The controller is just ridiculous. It feels like a new thing. And whether that's something that in 6 months I'll still be raving about, don't know. But right now, having spent, not quite a month with them, obviously, the PlayStation feels like the exciting one. The one taking risks, whereas the Xbox Series X feels like them righting the ship and making all that shit from the past go with a fresh start, albeit a lot of similarities, but like a mega powerful system.
Well, this is the most exciting time for me because the start of a console, it's obviously they're amazing, but you think, well, fuck me, what's God of War 2 going to look like?
Yeah.
What's Horizon going to look like? What is Halo going to look like? What is... Gears 6 going to look like? Like there's so many games to come, and on both consoles that are going to push the power of both of them, and it's just a really exciting time. Like Fables, if that ever comes out, and what's that going to look like? Like, it's so exciting. It's such a good time, like to have in front of you when it comes to video games.
I suppose that leads us on to kind of the best game I've played on next gen, and that's Marvel Spider-Man Miles Morales. Now, we talked about Spider-Man quite a lot. We talked about it at Game of Year, and I was critical of the game, I think. And I think I genuinely believe fairly so. I think I was the most critical out of most of the staff members on this site. And if I were to say to you that Miles Morales basically fixed every criticism I had, that's why I'm giving it a 9.5. So even late in the game where there's like a stealth mission, you don't have to do it stealthily. Like, I messed up and I jumped off the ceiling, and basically Miles just shouts, "Well, looks like we're going loud then." Not an instant fail, not a restart. Just carry on. Okay, you've messed it up. Get on with it, lad. It's the ray tracing's phenomenal. Like, you can I don't know. It's magic. Sometimes there's somebody who doesn't develop games, like seeing what you're seeing on the PS5 is it feels like magic. Like you don't notice it until you do, and then you just realise. Yeah. There was a scene actually similar to the area where I didn't fail out because I failed stealth, but I carried on fighting. Where I a lot of glass, and I finished the fight. I did half of them by stealth, and I messed it up. I say, and I did the combat stuff, and then I realised how much glass was around me. And it's like everything's reflected, and it's like, this is ridiculous. This is absolutely ridiculous. And it also is a brilliant showcase of the SSD inside this thing, because there's no loads. There's no loads at all. You die, it just goes fade to black, fade back up. You Fast travel, fade to black, you're walking out of the subway. You boot the game up, it shows you the splash screen, you press X, you go continue, bang, you're straight there, it's loaded straight in. There's no loading screens in this game. I mean, maybe there is. Maybe there's a loading screen somewhere for if something goes incredibly wrong, but I could not find one, and I played a lot of hours of this game because I didn't just finish the story. I'm on my way to, I guess, platinuming it or 100%ing it because I want to.
So exciting.
It's got just like, one of the best sort of closing sections of any game I've played in a long time. Like I don't know if it just came together for me, but I was in charge by the end of that game. Like the combat clicked in a way, and I think that's true of Spider-Man as well. But the combat is so good, and they add stuff that I'm not going to say about. I'm not going to mention because I don't want to spoil anything. But they add stuff to the combat as Miles, because Miles is not Peter. He is Miles. So Miles has different skills and powers to Peter. And they add stuff with that makes the game feel like you could do some mad combos. Like there is... And like I say, this end section where I was just like... I felt like I was untouchable. I felt like I mastered the combat. I was like that. You just keep trying. Just keep trying, lads. You're not going to get a bullet on me. You're not going to lay a fist. I just felt you're not laying a glove on me. And it was... incredible. And the story, man, it's a bit shorter, but I always felt with Spider-Man you could mainline that story and it wasn't actually that long.
Oh yeah, you could. It's kind of, it's made up of all the other little bits, really. Like the stuff in the old game with like Taskmaster, where he has you doing those missions and the collectibles and all that stuff. Like it was just, what I enjoyed about it was the story was great, but the other bits, there wasn't tons of other bits, but it was fun to do. You weren't flooded with kind of icons on the map. You had about 4 others, and you just did those bits, and because the combat was so good and the movement was so good, it was just fun to just fly, like swing around and just do what you wanted, and that's kind of what I'm looking forward to in this.
Yeah.
Now, I did have a question for you.
Okay.
About the side missions, and you mentioned in the review about something to do with your phone.
So, I don't want to, Miles has got a friend. I think he was in Spider-Man. Begins with G. Does that mean ring any? I don't want to spoil anything, but he's got a pal who knows who he is.
Oh right, yeah.
And it's similar to the films. In fact, very similar to the films. And he kind of develops an app so that people can essentially go to the app and request help from Miles, and these are side activities. And I don't know if you've seen the cat stuff at all. It actually leaked out way before the embargo. Okay, well I won't say any more than that. It's nothing. It's not actually. I think people are making a big deal out of it because it's kind of the Twitter kind of like, oh look, it's a cat, so cute. It's not actually. It's just a side quest. But the side quests, they feel different. I mean, it's ultimately you're still swinging around doing combat and doing some puzzles and like starting to getting some electricity stuff working because you're linking little points up and moving stuff around. That stuff is formulaic, I guess. But what they do is that even when it is formulaic, they give you some story and they give you a feeling that Miles is becoming something more. He is interacting with kind of the people of this area, and even the crimes. Like I felt like they've added crimes. Like I feel like they're not just the same 3 or whatever over and over again.
Good.
The collectibles are very similar. There's like one, but you know what? They've also removed all that puzzle stuff. That's all gone. Like they've streamlined it now. The collectibles are saying that there is a late game. You know how they add like a new kind of collectible each stage, I guess, of the game. There is one they add quite late that is probably the only bit of the game I didn't like because I just didn't click with it at all. It was a weird one to do with finding sounds, which sounds exactly how it sounds. The rest of them are kind of just like some of them are puzzles. Like you have to get this collectible and you can see it, but there's guards around it. But they're not bad guys. So if you get spotted, they will just say, "Clear off, Spider-Man. You're not supposed to be here." And you can't beat them up because they're not bad people. They're just people that are doing their job. So that's kind of the closest it comes to instant fail. Like it's like you just kicked out of the area, but it's not. There's a reason. When you'll find this one. It's a collectible. It's on a bridge area. It's buried, and there are construction workers. And you'll be frustrated, like I was, going, "Why can't I get this?" Then when you hit a part of the story where you gain a certain power, you'll go, got it. Now I get exactly how I get that. Oh my God, that's so easy.
Yeah.
And that's cool. I I think I want them to stick with Miles from now on, but I don't know that they can because there's stuff left to talk about, if you know what I mean, from the first game.
Yeah, there is.
There's the Spider-Man ends with and with showing you kind of where they were going next, which I guess is why when Miles was announced, they were like, people were like, huh? Wait a minute, what about my Spider-Man? What about the story? And I kind of want. I mean, I want another Miles, but I don't know that they can because they need to address.
It depends, right? It depends because this is me having absolutely no knowledge of Miles Morales, so I'm not asking you to tell me because I don't want to. No one wants anything ruined.
No, I won't be spoiling it.
What's saying down the line they both can't exist within the same game on the PS5 where you can switch between them?
Yeah.
Like, and then you would address the stuff that happened at the end credits on Marvel's Spider-Man with Peter Parker, and then whatever happens in this. Like, maybe that's what they're leading up to. I don't know, but they can't. That story arc can't end because it was so important, and the characters that were in that end credits.
Yes,
hugely important.
They're biggies,
to
aren't
the
they?
Story itself.
Yeah, they're the big villains, aren't they? That we don't have.
The whole question about where was his friend throughout the whole game? Like, where was Harry?
Oh yeah.
And then,
I mean, Miles Morales almost warrants a spoiler cast because I can't. I can't.
Yeah, no,
it's too soon. It's not out yet. Like the console's not out yet, and I won't do it. But it almost warrants it. We will have more PlayStation stuff, more Xbox stuff. I don't want to make this like a 4-hour info dump. Like, I think it's a good idea to maybe get some questions in, and we can talk about them. But before we get out of here for a week, I did want to talk about a game which, amazingly, I haven't had the chance to play. I played the preview build of it, and I've been jonesing for it ever since, but I have done nothing but next gen for. I mean, I haven't even played. What's that game that come out on PC? That one that they showed off that where you have to like wreck everything and. I can't even remember the name of it. It's that bad. But I'm desperate to play that, and I haven't even bought it yet. But a game I have got installed, but haven't played yet, that you've played, I know Chris Hyde has played, Fuser. We can't let this podcast go without mentioning this, because, man, why did they make the embargo the same as the PlayStation 5 stuff? And why are they releasing it the week before the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X? What they...
Oh, but do you know what? If this game, I don't think it'll go unnoticed. I think it's too good for that. I think some games do slip past, but the fact that it is available on is it coming out on PS5 like natively?
Well, I've got I don't know. I've got it installed on PS5, but it's PS4. So
yeah, but people could still play it on the PS5, so it's still So I have to say this game is 100% in my top 10 of the year, no doubt about that, and that's because.
Oh man, don't do this to me because I still have more PlayStation 5 games to review.
I'm going to do it. It's just perfect. Like it's the perfect time to play this game. It's hard. Like even you struggle to explain.
You need
in
to
the
see
preview.
It.
Because I was trying to do it, and I just thought, no, you just need to just trust me on this. Go and play it, because the general gist is you've got 4 tracks in each set, and you play in different sets throughout the campaign. Let's go there. And you've got a range of music, songs by actual artists to choose from. So, like you can a lot of them are unlocked. Like a lot of them are all unlocked before you've so it's not very restrictive. And you get quite a lot of in-game currency to spend once you level up. And songs all cost 200 of that. And you can pick different crates, and crates are your record collection. So before each level, you'll pick songs that maybe there's a specific theme, such as there's like old school hip hop's one, Latino Caribbean, which I clearly have no idea about because I'm not that well versed in it.
Yeah.
But like, not only does it introduce you to songs you may not have heard, it allows you to piss about with the ones that you do. And like, I remember mixing Ace of Base, The Sign, X Gonna Give It To You, Ironic by Alanis Morissette, and what was the other one? Take on Me by Aha.
Oh.
And it's just amazing because it
all
works.
Kind of,
it does, and they'll slow the pitch. They'll make it all work within the same song. It kind of, you put the drum beat in, then you can put like the bass in, then the melody, and then the vocals. But if it's like a dance track, you can put the decks into it, or there's like different instrumentation from all these tracks that you get to put into one of the 4 kind of record players that are on your decks. And as you play through, the goal is to drop new tracks into your set
on the beat,
on the beat, or there's, I can't remember what the term for it is, but like there's like little dots that relate to the button that you need to press to drop it certain parts in the song, which makes it flow from one lyric to the next or one drum beat into the next quite fluidly. So that's basically what you do for each set, and you'll get members of the crowd say, "Oh, I really want to hear Bad Guy by Billie Eilish," or "Please play some guitar for me," or "Put some drums in," or whatever. And if you do that, you gain more of a reaction, and your goal is to make sure you get the fans on your side. And there's a meter like there was in Guitar Hero Rock Band that tells you whether the fans are into it or if they're not. And there are certain times where you lose sight of everything you're doing, and you're just there, just putting all these songs in all over the place. You might find a certain rhythm between 2 songs, and you link them up, like link the drum beats back and forth, going back and forth, and that. If there's a really good solo coming up, like in the vocals, you can put the vocals into a solo mode by pressing a button underneath their track. You can mute certain tracks. You can then eject discs and put in new ones. You can fade in to fade out. You can add effects. Like, you can do so much, and there's such a wide range of music. There's over 100 songs. You earn certain songs by completing the game, but all the ones you want, you're going to want to buy, or they're already there or whatnot. But like, just like Evanescence, Megadeth, there's Armand Van Helden, there's Basement Jaxx. There's so much, and the thing I love about it is just how there is a sense of community in it. And I try not to be cheesy when I said this line, but like it kind of unites everyone through a love of music. And like, you might not like some of these songs, but if you hear them in a different light with other tracks,
100%.
It's just uplifting. Like Rock the Casbah's in there by The Clash. And you put in that to like
Coldplay's Clocks is in there.
Twain. Clocks.
Yep.
And there's some real like hardcore country.
I've got to get to this game, man. I've got to.
And like your campaign is mildly restrictive just because.
Yeah, but that's the story mode, isn't it?
This is why I'm leading up to the freestyle plays. Yes. That you could just jump in with all your songs, all the information you know, and just piss about as much as you want. And like, you can add like instrumentations in it. You can unlock like the piano. You can unlock a electronic drum beat. And you can then play that along to the track. You can create loops with them. And it sounds like there's a lot to do, but the way it does it's very easy to control, and it shouldn't be. It's as if you need a touchscreen to do it all. But
it's funny you say that, because I was going to ask you actually. I don't know if you had a chance yet, but have you tried it on Switch yet?
No.
Okay, I doubt it will have anything like you say, like the drag. But then, saying that, I played it on PC for preview, and it suggested to use like the controller anyway. So maybe that's it's such a good game. I remember saying to you when I played it, like I literally previewed it, and I was like, Chris, you're going to absolutely melt over this game. Like, this is
And I can't believe I never heard of it. Like, it completely was not on my radar. And then you told me.
No,
I
hadn't.
I read your
but
preview.
I hadn't. I was literally told it's by Harmonix, and I was like, okay, I'll play it. In fact, I think it came through. I think it's to do with NCSoft as well, and it's like, well, they're usually biggish games that NCSoft are involved with.
Yeah.
And I think I just was like, well, I actually think it was one of those where I just took a chance on an invite, and it's like, wait, and it literally was because of in the Discord video that we were doing it, because it was the world we're living in at the moment. I was like, I know that guy. Wait, this is Harmonix. What's going on? I don't remember. And it's like, this is just. It's gonna get.
Yeah.
It's gonna get lost. I'm afraid it is. But that means we just have to bang the drum that much harder for it because bang the drum. But like it's gonna get lost. I'm really surprised they're putting it out now.
Yeah, it is an odd time.
But it is what it is, and like again, I think Chris Hyde, I know, is going to talk about this game because he's played it too, and like I just remember feeling, and I guess I suppose time wise, like it was during the big lockdown, and it just made me feel so good. Like you said, and I don't think it's cheesy at all. I don't think it at all. It is, because I used to be that teenage kid who's like, I don't want to listen to that dancey pop music shit. I want guitars. And I used to be that guy, but I've matured. But then, like you say, when you drop in Call Me Maybe, with clocks and Rock the Casbah's drums, and like you say, X gonna give it to you as bass line, and it's like, good songs are good songs, and it is one of those things where it's like it's just happiness. Like I mean, if you don't like music, it's not going to do anything for you, I don't think. But it is, as people like Chris, on the video version, you can literally see guitars behind both of us in our in our rooms, probably, or maybe, I don't know. But like, it's just so joyous. It's so welcoming and open, and like the customization. I remember they told me in the interview stuff that I think they said the protagonists are, I think, without gender. I think they're literally blank slates for you to put yourself upon them, and I think that's a wonderful inclusive thing. And that's the game.
It's the first thing you do when you load it up is you're on a customer character creation, and like I remember looking through the faces and the body types, and just I couldn't work out what was what. And then I thought, do you know what, this is actually really really good, because it kind of encourages you to be yourself and not worry about it. And it's not like when you get a form and you have to fill in, it's like, are you male, female, other? It's like there's a real sensitivity to it, and it's fantastic that you can spend like customization points on new outfits that are just, they're either colorful or they're not, but anybody can wear them. There's no boundaries, and that's another thing that adds to this community element of it. You just pick it up and just have a good time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, look, we've got some questions to get to, though, so we should do those. But I will just say that, as I say, there's lots more to come. Lots more to come. Chris and I have both been playing Bugsnax, and that's all I will say about that. That will be on next. By the time this goes up, you'll see the review for it. But we'll talk about that next week. Chris has been playing Assassin's Creed Valhalla. We'll talk about that next week. There's so much more to come. Hoping to get some more impressions to you on other PlayStation 5 games on the next podcast. You can probably guess what they are. Wink.
Also, I'd just like to point out, sorry, about Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
Oh, yes.
There's going to be some content coming out next week, which was from a little roundtable interview thingy that I did with some of the stars, some of the musicians and the creators. I got to interview the female Ivor and Einar Selvik, the composer who's worked on the game, and
awesome.
They're really cool, and I found out a lot about the writing process and that, so that'll all be going up this week as well.
Yep.
When you start listening to this.
Yes, yeah. Don't think that we've reviewed the PlayStation and the Xbox and we're done. This we can't sleep yet. We do it because we love it. Yeah. Although I'm telling you now, I'm furious that Asda have sold out of my gingerbread spiced rum. Furious, because that was getting me through it, and now I was going to celebrate by drinking the remainder of it, and it seems to be unavailable again, and I am not in a happy place. Mr. Asda, we don't do sponsored podcasts. Send me some fucking rum. I deserve it. Anyway, listener correspondence. We've only got a few questions. They all came from Steve, actually, on our Discord very shortly before we started. And I'm springing this on us a bit, but what was your proudest gaming achievement? I once held the #1 spot on Unchallenged on Amp 3 for about a month. Beat that.
Fucking nice summit, mate.
Good.
Well done, Steve. That's top notch.
Yeah.
I don't have any, not as in like that. Like, I've had a lot of them, but that's because I'm previewing
playing pre-release.
Out.
See, there's a few of them though, but there's a few of them.
I'm top of the leaderboard.
Yeah, but you say that, but that's against other gaming media, and sometimes that is like, oh, you're shit, lads. You're all shit.
I tell you,
this is me calling the UK industry out and America. You're shit. Like, I see your scores. You're shit.
I've just thought of one.
Not really.
So I remember reviewing Watch Dogs 2 back in the year.
Okay.
And I remember there was like these missions where they're like it includes other people online, and you can kind of go into their game and you have to find them and you have to kill them. I remember snipering Jim Sterling in the head. I remember doing that, and I was like, yes. But in terms of like other gaming achievements, literally finishing BioShock, because that took me years to do.
Oh, you've done that? Okay, cool.
Yeah, because you know the story. I've tried it about 4 or 5 times, and then we were covering the BioShock Switch release, and I looked into like the different, like the best kind of locations, and so I thought, right, well, I need to play it to know. And I finished it, and I was so annoyed at myself for not finishing it, but also glad. So yeah, probably them two.
Okay, fair enough. I think I've told this story before, but for me it was Super Meat Boys, the kid. I was around Christmas. I was being an absolute lazy bastard because of my job. That means I don't do an awful lot when I'm not at work during Christmas period. And my wife and mother actually were putting decorations up around me, and I was sat sort of in the middle of the room so they could work around me with controller in hand, trying to unlock the kid on Super Meat Boy. And I literally jumped up and went, yes! And I felt like the saddest bastard in the world. But also, I still love that. And I did it again on PC years later, and it was like, actually, this isn't that hard. Never mind, fine, whatever. Good question from Steve. He says, given the opportunity, what game series, or maybe console would you wipe from your memory, Eternal Sunshine style, so you could experience it all over again? I reckon you're going to be easy to find a couple here easy, because I can think of 3 straight away.
God of War.
The new one.
Yeah.
Yep.
100%.
Okay.
Best experience of my life.
Fuck.
Yeah. Another one for me personally would be Metal Gear Solid.
The original.
The original. Playing that for the first, second, third time in a row. Just that whole period of games was amazing.
Sure.
That one in particular. And probably the PS1.
The whole thing?
Just Die Hard Trilogy then. If I'm being completely honest. This was the game that means a lot to me. Like family moments. Like that was one for me. I got it for Christmas. I can't even remember what game I got it with, but that was a surprise because they left it till the last minute. And then about an hour later, my dad gave me Die Hard Trilogy. Now, if you know my parents, they're religious people, but they still bought me a PlayStation with Die Hard Trilogy. I remember putting it in, and there was a blood mode on it. And I called my dad into the room, and I said, "Dad, I just feel a bit bad about having this on." Like, and he went, "Don't worry about it.
Just play it, mate."
Off. And I always remember that. So yeah, the PlayStation 1, getting the PlayStation 1, and pretty much the majority of games that I played on that were fucking amazing.
Amazing, yeah. Super Mario World. I'd love to play that completely blind again. Never gonna happen. Super Meat Boy, same. I think probably God of War. Do you know what? Bloodborne. Because I started playing that again on PS5 via PS4 backwards compatibility, and it's like I had to stop myself because I could just feel it's like, oh yeah, this is a special game. Bloodborne's one of them for me. So yeah. Last question. G-Town maxed out the Discord name Steve says, is it acceptable to put mashed potato in a sandwich?
It's not acceptable to put mashed potato in your mouth, Steve. I hate it.
Oh,
hate it.
So it's okay. I would consider trying it, but I think it would have to be like fresh bread, so that it was like a crusty exterior to create some sort of consistency that isn't. Because otherwise, you think about bread as a sandwich, it would just become kind of squidge, wouldn't it? So maybe it would have to be toasted sandwich, which is now I think about it. hang on. No, if I gave you a toasted sandwich with cheesy mash,
mate,
bit of bacon in there.
It's one of those things.
No,
it's one of those foods. I wouldn't ever touch it.
See, now I'm thinking about it.
Because I had to, because one of my cousins had made it for me, and I felt bad about saying
But did they give you? You know, we're talking smooth here. Like it would be smooth mash, not lumpy, horrible shit.
It was well made, but I'm just, I'm weird about textures.
Yeah. We've had the beans discussion on Fork Off.
It's just one of those things. Yeah, it's just one of those things.
Okay. All right. I'm just thinking a toasted sarnie, or maybe some like really good crust, or maybe like a French stick. Not loads of mash, but then some bacon in there, cheesy mash. I wouldn't be against it, actually. I wouldn't be against the consideration. You've left me with a lot to think about, Steve. I'll give you that. And we hope you have been left a lot to think about as well. There are loads of videos on the channel. There's a video showing off the PlayStation 5 backwards compatibility. There's one showing how quickly Doom loads. Video reviews of Spider-Man, video review of Astro's Playroom. We've still got loads to come, actually. Video review of Dirt 5. Go and have a look at that. It's a great game. There's loads and loads of stuff on our channel that you're watching this on. And if you're not, if you're just listening, you can go to youtube.com/GodIsAGeek, give us a subscription, click the bell button so you don't miss the videos. Chris, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
And I'm sure that you would join me in telling everyone to go to Patreon, where you can consider on patreon.com/GodIsAGeek for £1 a month getting this pod early. We do giveaways. We'd look after people we think. We do an extra podcast as well, which we know we owe an episode of, but times are... It's been a strange year. But we have new consoles. The next generation is here. So there's that. And we will talk more about the next generation on next week's show, or whenever you choose to listen. Bye-bye for now.